this is a topic that is way more complex than I'll ever be able to present it as, but I will do my best to get my point across in a way that will be at least sufficient, or I hope so. It is about generalization and how I would like to avoid that in the vast majority of cases. This concerns world building, all characters, their traits, any kind of situations they might find themselves in, the writing style mostly, as if I'm lecturing someone, as if I'm stating an undeniable fact. Instead, I would rather tailor everything to that exact situation. Example, when in some sort of a confrontation, a fight, the character thinks there is never time to ponder anything during combat, just action, which might suit that exact event, but it would be written as if it applied to every single fight ever, which is not the message that I want to get across. So I would rather write along the lines of now is not the time to think over stuff that does not matter. I just need to survive this exact situation. That is an example that is very much simplified, and yet the distinction is not lost on me. And hopefully, I'll be able to implement this into my writing, since no matter how small the difference might seem, I find it rather important for my own enjoyment and for me to believe that the story is, well, as close to real as any story can ever get. But for now, I'm going to cut the intro short for once in a while, and now the rapid arrows are attempting a daring rescue of two children from the vices of a tyrannical circus. Bags are packed, the escape route is ready as well. All that is left is the execution of the plan. So for now, stealth is the only option. They leave the wagon and navigate towards the rope that's still hanging from the tree ever since their descent previously. Fortunately, the boy and the girl are both quite well qualified to use this exact escape route, so the climbing goes smoothly all the way until only Redcap and Yarka are left on the ground. When the man finally notices that something is happening, so he runs outside of his own wagon, rushes towards Yarka, who's the last to climb up the rope, but he just manages to get out of his reach and even lifts the tail end of the rope. Then they start running away, accompanied by threats thrown after them by the evil man. Fortunately, they manage to get far away enough for him to decide it's no longer worth it to pursue them. Then they are introduced to the aunt, who shows them to their new room where they can stay until their father gets well. And the last thing they do is a visit to aforementioned father, whom they explain the circumstances to, accompanied by the arrows, and he promises them that he's going to be healthy in 3 weeks, and afterwards they'll be able to begin working again together. And since all ends well, new adventures await, which is a declaration of war from the Brotherhood of the Cat's Paw, who challenged the Rapid Arrows to a game of hockey, 6 against 6. So the rapid arrows need one more person, and the one who they'll decide to approach is Tony Boy. They promise him complete safety with a great amount of padding. His only request is that they won't blame him even if he's terrible. A huge crowd gathers, even Bubbles is there, and after some last minute instructions for the Tony Boy, the game is on. The puck is in the hands of the Brotherhood. The Rapid Arrows are trying to keep up. Speedy kisses the ice. Bristles is going in for the goal, and the goalkeeper is too busy giving snacks to Bubbles to care. So the Brotherhood ends up being in lead. So after some scolding to their slightly incompetent sixth member, whose excuse was that he was bored and was trying to pass time by playing with Bubbles, the game though carries on. Some great plays are happening, and the goalkeeper this time is not paying attention to Bubbles, but instead to the newspapers that he somehow found somewhere, missing another shot on the goal, this time by the long pole himself. Another round of talking to, yet nothing seems to be perturbing the goalkeeper, since it was just a bit of light reading between catching the puck. Last chance, Bohosh is approaching the goal with a determined face, and Tony Boy needs to take some action. Unfortunately for the Rapid Arrows, the only action he can take is to fall down, and even then he is unsure if it is or is not going to happen, which results in another goal for the Brotherhood, which in turn causes Speedy to bring his hockey stick and Mirek to just ride away in shame, probably remembering the way he accepted the challenge, promising the Brotherhood quite the beating. Oh well, can't win them all. In front of the school, a boy is boasting about his accomplishment that he managed to ride around the frozen puddle in mere 75 seconds, and that he really wants to break this record of his and push the time below 1 minute, which ironically Speedy comments on with asking the boy if he just really hates having his bones intact, but he ignores even Mirek's warning that he might just slip off in the curve. He just calls them cowards and carries on. The timer starts, he shoots forward. The first curve ends well. He manages to balance himself with his leg, putting it down on the ice just in time. Everything seems well, but then the next curve arrives, and this time he fails to stretch the leg out, leaving everyone shocked as he lays on the ice, blood flowing out of his head. Then the Rapid Arrows arrive, led by Mirek, who immediately begins giving him first aid. They clean up the wound, then they create a transportation square by holding each other's wrists with Yarka, and with the boy realizing that maybe next time he'll at least try to listen to advice before he attempts something reckless, they set out to carry him to the nearest doctor to have the injury properly addressed, while Speedy is pushing the beaten up bicycle behind them. And then the dreaded time of giving out school reports arrives, especially for one of the boys whose paper is carrying four nasty balls. He's pondering how is he going to show this to his parents without getting himself smitten off the face of this planet. Well, his friend has a solution, figuratively and literally, since he prepared some sort of a magical water that he can use to vanish the bad grades and replace them with something slightly more appealing. Well, the Rapid Arrows attempt to warn the boy that sooner rather than later the fraud will come to light, but he's so desperate, so afraid of what would happen if he'd shown this to his father that he still uses the potion, well, which turns out to be less than magical and more of a corrosive because it literally eats through the paper on all four places that the boy applied it to. Well, the rapid arrows accompany him to his home, wish him good luck, and the boy just hopes this whole affair to be already over. Enters his father already expecting him when he sees the school report with four holes in it. He immediately puts two and two together. His belt comes off almost magically, and he even gets the name of the accomplice out of his son's mouth. Then he honorably brings the school report to the school director himself and ousts the other boy who prepared the solution. They both receive a stern warning and a 4 from manners, which is another grade that, at least in my country, students receive. Although during my time, 3 was the worst one that you could have possibly gotten. So I'm guessing that 4 is the second highest, and 5 would mean immediate expulsion. Again, these are just my guesses, and this is how the cheating scandal ended, in a just punishment for attempting to falsify an official document. This is where I'm going to stop. I think this might be some sort of a record for me. I actually went through 4 entire stories this time, or maybe it's just a tie, but nevertheless, I'm quite proud of myself. And next time, more about this time world building, and then about the club called the Rapid Arrows.